We're here this afternoon to talk to you a little bit about the views that we've gained from the children and young people about how they've experienced this current situation with coronavirus pandemic and some of the ideas they've shared with us that they would find useful going back to school. So really what we want to do is share those views back to you, children and young people out there. We hope you're either watching with your parents now or that your parents and school teachers might share this back to you on another date from the YouTube channel.
306 of you shared your views on this, on what it's been like at home, what you're missing, and what would make things a little bit easier for you going back to school. So 306 of you that are in primary school at the moment, but you're at home. So you're not going to school at the moment, you are working from home. So it's an incredible amount of you. We are so grateful to have been able to read your words, and we have just started to pull them together a little bit, summarize them, and find some themes in what a lot of you have been saying that's similar. But if your views haven't been included, or if maybe you think, actually, no, I don't feel that way, then do hold on to those thoughts, and we are going to come back to that. So there is still a chance we do want to hear them. So the first thing we looked at is, what are you missing? And you can see here that out of 306 of you, 279 of you are missing your friends. That's a huge amount of you. And those really special connections that you've got, you're finding that really difficult right now. 121 of you are missing work and lessons and the way that you learn at school. I know that you're still doing some work and lessons at the moment, but it seems like it feels very different for a lot of you, and it's something that you are missing, doing that in the school environment. 217 of you miss your teachers, and that's just not class teachers, that also includes other teachers like teaching assistants, learning support assistants. Many of you named them to us, really showing us how important those relationships are to you and how much you're really missing them at the moment. And 22 of you said that you miss nothing and you're happy at home. So we're just going to think about now, what else do you miss? You told us some other things as well. So if we just go to the next slide. Sarah?
Hey, can I just jump in quickly and say, for those of you better than me at maths, those numbers don't all add up to 306. With those choices, you could choose any and all of them. So that's why those numbers are there.
Yeah, thanks for highlighting that.
That's okay.
So, other things that you told us that you miss, we've looked at really closely, and we've seen that these are some of the main areas. So you're missing connection, you're missing structure, you're missing shared experiences together, and you're missing play and fun. So if you click a few times, Sarah, there are some quotes coming from you, and these show sort of the range of things that you're missing, but also how they tie in together. And some of them, like playing together on the playground, show us you're missing that connection, you're missing the shared experience and fun, but you're also missing the structure of having that playtime and sort of through the day when you spend these time together. Part of the community is such a special feeling that you're not feeling in the same way right now. Even things like SATs that a lot of you, I suppose, didn't expect to miss, or maybe shared those views, but you're still missing them now. Having lunch, music, lots of creative sort of activities, craft clubs, things like that you told us about as well, swimming, diving, basketball, lots of different sports and activities, creative clubs you're really missing at the moment. And yeah, even things like the school run, which happens normally every day and is something that you're not getting right now, and that's something that you're finding difficult, and it's really important that we can understand that and know exactly what it is that you're missing. And then as well, on the next slide, we've thought about what will going back to school be like for you? So how you're feeling right now, do you think it's going to be easy, okay, or difficult? So you can see on this pie chart how many of you sort of feel slightly different ways. I've got 111 of you at the moment feel it will be quite easy. 139 of you think it will be okay. and 67 of you feel that it's going to be difficult. And that's a lot of you, and that's really important that we know that, and your teachers know that that's how you're feeling. And it's really important for us to all think about together what could make it easier. And even for you who've said at the moment, actually I think it would be quite easy, you've still had the opportunity to share what would still make it work best for you and what that would look like for it to be easy. So that's just the next thing that we have asked you about as well on the next slide. So what will make going back to school easier? These are things that you've said again, and we've found some small sort of themes. So just on this slide here, we've got your existing relationships. So these are people that you already feel close to and you already feel that sort of comfort and familiarity with. So having the same teacher, being able to see the same teacher, knowing someone in your sort of peer group, in your class, and seeing them straight away, being able to have that connection with them when you come in, having a cuddle from mummy before you go to school, or from anyone else that you feel that sense of comfort and reassurance from. That's really important. And those existing relationships, you've said, are going to really help you when you go back to school to make sure you have those feelings of safety and reassurance. Also, not feeling overwhelmed. I think a lot of you have shared that you don't want to go straight back into your formal learning straight away, and we know because you've told us how much you're missing your friends. So it makes sense to us that you've also said we want time to reconnect with them when we get back, and we don't want to go straight into lessons. You've given us some really helpful suggestions to think about as well. You've given us ideas such as a fun day out in the playground of activities, or some half days, but it's also really positive to see you're thinking about looking after yourself and not feeling too stressed and tired, and you know that that's not going to be good for you. So really important things that you're highlighting here, and things that will make going back a bit easier for you. On the next slide, we've got a few more. So health and safety is obviously a really big one that we've already looked at in this presentation, but these are some of the things you've said for your primary schools. Being very sure that it's safe. You want to feel very safe and be reassured that it is. Thinking that the virus is gone. For some of you, you've said that that's the only thing that's going to make you feel better right now. And a lot of you have said that, maybe being in school, thinking about some of the restrictions and how they're going to work in classrooms, you've got some different opinions. So some people say seeing masks will help you feel a bit safer because you know people are being safe, but others have said if you see the masks it will make you feel quite worried. So we have to really think about that, and it's really important that we know that you've got different views and we can work on those with your teachers, with your staff. Knowing I'm not going to bring anything home to my family and they will die, that's a really scary thought to be having, and that's really difficult for you to be carrying around. And it's so important that you've shared this, so important that your school knows that's how you work, that's how you're feeling. These are some of the worries that you're having. Also wanting clear information. It's like that word uncertainty we were talking about earlier. Knowing who can help if I'm scared, that's so important. And again, you're really thinking about looking after yourself in a way. You need to know who you can go to if you're feeling that way. The guide of the timetable, and knowing what you're doing when you come back, knowing where you're going. A lot of you don't know where you're going at the moment, and there's so much uncertainty. So you really want to know what's going to be happening as soon as you possibly can, just so you can, get used to the idea of whatever it will be. And making connections as well is such an important one for all of you. So we've spoken about how your existing relationships will help you feel better, will make going back to school easier, but also a lot of you have given really good ideas about how you can start making connections now, even if you're not going back very soon. You're thinking about wanting to start reconnecting already. So if you've got a new teacher, you've given some really good ideas about how you can start talking to them through Dojo and things like that. Seeing your friends before you go back. A lot of you have said that. I think it seems like a lot of you want to connect before you have to go back. And that makes sense to us as well, because of how we can see how much you're missing friends. So that's a really clear one to us, that making connections from now is something that you want.
Lovely, thank you, Kate. I think you've really shown the richness that's come out of all of the views that have been shared there. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sarah. There's just one last slide that just puts it all into a circle, and that's where we'll finish, just with your words today. Like we said, if I've said something that you think that's not how I feel, then please do hold on to that thought. But just for now, I hope this makes sense to a lot of you, and I hope you can see some of your thoughts and your words coming in to what we've spoken about.
Lovely. Thank you. That's great. Lauren, I think I'm passing on to you now.
Yeah. And thank you, Kate, for making the point about if you're looking through this and you're not seeing something that reflects how you felt, that's that really good, important point, that there will be a chance for you to have your say as well. So please don't worry. So this slide is thinking about primary school children who actually went into school. So some of you went into school for this time and school was a bit different for you. And we were so interested to hear your responses because we haven't been in school either like we normally would. So we really wanted to know what that had been like for you. So thank you to all of you that replied for this. So we asked you how you felt about being in school. Very small amount of you said it's okay, you felt okay about it. Really big portion of you said you were either very happy, that's 49% of you there, or you were happy, it was 42%. So lots and lots of you, it sounds like you really enjoyed being in school, even though it might have been a little bit different. You had a great time there and there were so many things that you enjoyed, and lots of you said the same. So just going back to what I was mentioning before, really, a lot of you talked a lot about being outside and all those different activities that you were doing. So it sounds like you got to do some different things, or maybe you got to do more of the outside activities that you would usually do, and you really enjoyed that, and being able to get outside and be very active. There were so many different activities that you said you'd been doing. It sounds like you've just been really, really busy with your time in school and doing lots of fun things. A lot of you mentioned that there were less people, so that was one of the different things, but it was one of the things that you felt you actually enjoyed about being in school. That was one of the things that you liked. I wonder if that was because you got some more time with your teachers or with the staff that were in, you got to see them maybe a little bit more than you usually would. And because there were less people around, maybe you got to do some of those different activities. So that was an interesting thing that you really liked. Again, lots of you said you liked seeing your teacher, and we really got from the questions and all of your responses that seeing your teachers and seeing staff was so important to you, and it really, really means a lot. And so we really know that that's going to be an important thing to think about when we think about going back, because it's so, so important. And we had quotes from you saying that you love your teachers, you love talking to them, spending time with them. And so we've taken that all on board and we've remembered that. And that's going to be something, not just that your teachers will love hearing and it will make them feel really good, but it gives us some really good ideas about what's going to help when we go back. It was great to hear about all the new things that you've learned. So many of you have done so many different activities, that you've learned loads of new skills. You've been making lamps, you've been doing baking, you've been doing loads of games, you've learned new games that you hadn't done before. The list was just absolutely endless of all the great things you've been doing. So I'm not surprised that you've enjoyed it, because it sounds like you've been having a lot of fun. As I said before, great to hear that a load of you have made some new friendships, and you've got to go in and see your friends. As Kate was saying, some children have really, really missed their friends. And so it really came across that you really liked that opportunity to see your friends, and you really, really enjoyed that, and it helped you feel happy. So that's great. And that's another thing that we know is going to be so important, is to have that time with your friends when you go back, because that really meant a lot to you. And then the one that I loved the most was, so many of you mentioned the nice dinners. So I think school dinners have got a lot better at school than they were when I was there, because I didn't like mine very much. So many of you mentioned that you had loads of yummy food, you tried some new things, you really loved the dinners, and it sounds like you just had a lovely time sitting together having some food. And so that's just a really lovely thing that I felt came up. So lots and lots of great things that you said there. And then I think if we go on to the next one, what we thought was really interesting was that actually these themes down the side here of the things that kept coming out in your quotes that you can see about what you said were really, really similar. And this was for primary at home, primary at school, and secondary as well, right the way up through college. These were the same things that kept coming up in different ways. So when you were giving us some ideas about things you might like on the return to school and what might help you, what might be good, lots of you said time, and Kate's mentioned that before as well. So we had time to catch up with some of the work that maybe you feel you're not quite there with yet. So you wanted a bit of a slow ease into doing that work. Lots of you said, can we do some easy work first to get used to it? So that was really helpful. Lots of you said that you wanted time to get used to a bit of a different way of working, because there's going to be maybe more people there than you've got used to over the last couple of weeks, and a few things might be a little bit different. So you just wanted some time to get used to that, which sounds really sensible. Lots of you said you wanted time to talk to your teachers. Like we said before, they're all going to be really pleased with that. I'm sure they've already missed you as well, and they're going to want that time to catch up with you and see what you've all been up to. So we definitely take that on board. Lots of you talked about connection. So lots of you talked about, similar to the point I'm making, wanting to see people again, wanting to have that time to talk to them, to spend some time with them. There's going to be some friends coming back who maybe were at home while you were in school and you really wanted to see them again and just have a catch up and maybe play some games together. So there were lots of great ideas about how to do that, and lots of ways to catch up with your teachers and spend some time connecting again with them. So those were some really great ideas. Thank you for those. Some of you also had some great ideas about some different ways that you might do that, because some people were a bit worried that they might be going into a new class, or they might have a different teacher and they were feeling a bit unsure. So loads of you mentioned that you would like to do things like perhaps have a photo book, so that would give you a chance to see your teacher or your classroom before you go back. And we thought that was a fantastic idea. Lots of you have obviously got very good on the computer, because Zoom was mentioned a lot about you having maybe a little Zoom tour of a classroom or having a look round. So that was fantastic. We really like that. We then moved on to thinking about safety, and that was really, really important for you, as I think it was for everyone that responded to us. So you really wanted to feel reassured when you go back to school. You wanted to feel that you're safe. So you wanted people to be able to tell you the things that are in place at school that are going to keep you safe. You wanted to be able to talk to your teachers about that. And so we're sure that it's going to be really important that you have the time to do that. Lots of you were worried about mum and dad, or maybe nanny and granddad, feeling a bit worried about you being back at school, and you were worried about them being worried. So we've really heard that as well, that it's not just you being worried about being safe, it's about your parents or your grandparents or other people that look after you being worried about you. And so we're thinking of ways that we can reassure them as well, so that everybody feels safe. So we know that that's really important. And then finally, lots of you talked about routine, so completely understandable. Lots of you wanted to know, are we going to ease gradually back into our lessons? What is the school day going to look like? Some people asked, will it be like a normal school day like before? Will we still be doing some different things? So you just wanted to know what your day and what your weeks are going to be like, and what will be the same and what will be different. So that's really, really helpful for us, because although we're not going to have all the answers to everything, and there might be some things that your teachers and other people might say, I don't know, there's going to be lots of things that we do know, and we're going to have lots of ideas of things that we could do. So wherever it's going to be possible, we're going to be thinking about ways that we can tell you what that routine is going to look like, what will be the same and what might look a bit different, so that you're going to have a chance to know that. And remembering again that you could always speak to your teachers about those things, and you can ask them those questions, was really important as well. So many fantastic ideas, so many things for us to think about. It was lovely to hear that lots and lots of you had such a lovely time in school while it was a bit different. And I hope that that's made people feel a little bit reassured that it was different and you enjoyed it. So hopefully that will be okay for you. Thank you so much for all your answers and just all of your great ideas.